Red Bull's dominance in Formula 1 this year has sparked much speculation regarding the source of their significant advantage. Much of the attention has been focused on the RB19's peak speed, particularly how its DRS provides a straight-line advantage that rivals cannot replicate. Has it just been sheer excellence of their engineers? Or is there something else going on at Red Bull's HQ? And what about the FIA? Will they step in to try and level the playing field? We'll answer all these questions in today's video, so let's dive right in as there's a lot to talk about. There are various hypotheses circulating about as to why the team's DRS appears to be so successful. Everything from remarkable aero efficiency on low drag wing package to complicated stalling of the diffuser and rear wing parts. While Red Bull's DRS remains intriguing, other teams are far from worrying over what has been done in this area. Instead, there is growing recognition that Red Bull's DRS improvements are the result of genius in other elements of their car design, rather than being the catalyst for its pace-setting performance. As Alpine Technical Director Matt Harmon said when asked about there being anything particularly special standing out with the Red Bull DRS, "There's a lot of talk about that visually, but I think if you actually dig through the data, I'm not sure about that. I think they're very quick in a straight line, just generally. So from what we see, it's not something that we're looking to try and understand in great detail." What Red Bull's competitors are focusing on is the RB19's ability to retain its aero platform over a lap, which looks to be yielding advances in allowing the car to provide constant downforce for the drivers. Its anti-roll, anti-squat, and anti-dive characteristics are something that the competition is eager to replicate after they figure out how Red Bull does it. "We have some ideas," Harmon continued, when asked where he thought the Red Bull was so amazing. "There's some things we probably have no clue on, because there's some things that we do they won't have either, but their ability to run their car the way they do is quite impressive. I think it's certainly an inspiration to us all, so that's where we're moving towards." According to Haas lead aerodynamicist Juan Molina, having a flawlessly consistent platform, as Red Bull looks to be capable of providing, can provide the type of advantage that teams experience during the active suspension days. If you think about active suspension, and I'm not saying anybody has it, but if you had active suspension, then you probably win the championship, because you can get the car and you can develop it in a specific position, he said. So that's why we think if you understand what your car is doing, or where you want to put your car, and you can probably put your car there, you get performance. You'll probably see teams going in that direction and trying to understand how do we get the car as low as possible, how do we cure the bouncing, and then perfecting your high speed to low speed performance, which is obviously important for the driver. If DRS alone was a secret to Red Bull's success, Haas would have emerged as a possible competitor, given its own performance in this area is practically on par with its Milton Keynes rival. Instead, as Haas's Molina argues, the performance of all F1 cars on the grid is the sum of several factors. Sure, bodywork and rear wing designs may appear to be the most important factors in performance variances, but the reality is that lap time is dictated considerably more by the complete package. It's not only the bodywork, but how that works with your floor and your rear wing, and how you have the different parts of the car, he said. As the regulations evolve, we are converging toward a platform of performance on low speed versus high speed, etc. So as you go towards there, the question is, where do you find the performance? That's where your platform, the link between your aerodynamics and where the car is on the ground, is important. If you look at Red Bull, you can see they know where the car is and where they want to put the car exactly all the time. And that's something that is becoming more important as the regulations evolve. Asked how difficult it was to achieve the perfect mechanical platform like Red Bull, Molina said, "Yeah, difficult. Last year, our departments were still evolving, learning to talk to each other. This year we're much better. You can see it's not only about the aerodynamics, but how we link those departments together, what we develop in the tunnel, how it translates to what you see on track, how you set up the car. But yes, it's not easy, otherwise everybody would be where Red Bull is." The fact that opponents are significantly more interested in the Red Bull mechanical platform than its DRS explains why the RB19's rear wing is not the key to its success. That also explains why Verstappen hasn't seen anything out of the usual with his DRS advantage. "To be honest with you, I'm not really surprised," he said recently. "I think for us it's been pretty similar to also last year. I think our car is quite efficient on the straights. I see people talking about us doing magical things or tricks, but we're not. The race is now on to figure out not only what Red Bull is doing, but how it is doing it. Have Red Bull created one of the most all-round F1 cars in recent history? Will anyone come close to their performance this season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But upgrading their own car isn't the only thing the team can do, as they can also push the FIA and F1 management to intervene with the dominating team. Just like we've seen last year with the technical directive mid-season. But unfortunately for the competition, this has only made Red Bull stronger. So behind the scenes, the teams are trying to slow Red Bull down by poking around at the FIA and F1 management. But so far, this hasn't resulted in any changes. And the head of Formula 1 isn't afraid of a little fight and stands behind his management style, as we've seen before on Drive to Survive. But he has taken the time recently to address rumours of possible rule changes. In the most recent season of Drive to Survive, Domenicali's leadership is put to the test during a meeting of team bosses, including Mercedes' Toto Wolff and Red Bull's Christian Horner. The longtime adversaries are at odds over new car design restrictions, and as tempers flare, Domenicali steps in to calm things down. The debate with the Federazione Internazionale dell'Automobile, the sport's governing body, will proceed properly, he told the meeting of team managers. Domenicali thinks knowing the team managers on a personal level was vital in how he handled the crisis at F1 headquarters in London. These kinds of things you learn how to deal with the more you see them happening, and the more you understand the people. Every one of us is different, so you need to respect that. Domenicali asserts that he has zero ego and never screams. That's the beauty of it, you take one ego less. He understands the challenges that Horner and Wolff confront as a former Ferrari team principal, from managing championship-winning drivers like Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, to encouraging engineers and aerodynamicists to develop the best car. Formula 1 is rapidly expanding. Liberty Media, which bought F1 for $8 billion in 2016, has redrawn the sport's economics. It distributes earnings more fairly across teams, imposes spending limitations on car development to increase competitiveness, and has revolutionized the way it connects with fans on social media. Due to greater race promoter fees, more broadcast rights, sponsorship, and attendance at the Paddock Club hospitality sector, annual income climbed by 20% to more than $2.5 billion in 2022. Despite the rise in popularity and revenue, F1 is having a problem. And that problem is one team's domination, which makes some fans not even tune into the race. But F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali has stated that the sports management cannot intervene to end Red Bull's supremacy. The Milton Keynes-based team has yet to be defeated this season, with Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez remaining unbeaten in the first 5 races. Fernando Alonso of Aston Martin was the closest to the Red Bulls at the Miami Grand Prix, but he ended 26 seconds behind winner and championship leader Verstappen, who won his second title by 146 points over Ferrari's Charles Leclerc last year. The ease with which Red Bull won early in the season threatens to disrupt F1's growth in popularity, which is being fueled mostly by Netflix docuseries Drive to Survive, and the intriguing championship duel between Verstappen and Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton in 2021. Speaking at a Financial Times event, Domenicali was clear that F1 could not intervene to limit Red Bull's supremacy, putting the weight of equalizing performance on the sport's financial laws. Thus, despite all efforts to increase participation, the sport has been lacking in enthusiasm at the head of the grid. In 2022, Verstappen won 15 of 22 races. This season, his Red Bull squad has more than doubled the points of their nearest challenger after only 5 races. Is Red Bull's supremacy threatening F1's capacity to keep fans interested in Drive to Survive? Domenicali claimed last week at the Financial Times Future of the Car conference in London that he would totally disagree, that F1 has favoured entertainment over the sport itself. This year, we need to say the truth. Red Bull did a better job than the others. It's a fact. But I would be imprudent to say the championship is finished, he said. We cannot intervene in the performance of the teams. I'm sure what we did in terms of financial regulations will help to minimize the gap on the technical side. What are your thoughts? Should the FIA and F1 intervene? Or has Red Bull just produced an incredible racing car without breaking any rules? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next one.